so much.
Right.
But I think if we ask her to give us a little.
Well, and I'm pretty sure they worked with Westburg when I was with WCRD. Because I've been with them in representation when they were trying to build. Which building?
We don't know which company.
Feels
better.
Do they all work with American Structure Board?
A few times.
They're both good size firm, they have a lot of in-house resources, much more so than FPBH.
So yeah, we'll have this on our agenda then for next month's meeting.
If I can remember that long.
Can I say something, guys?
Yes. Remember to invite them.
I think all the three groups are a good idea.
But I want to remind you that, you know, we do have a plan. Stellar has started the projects. We didn't get the large amount of money. We are working individually to get stellar projects done. Now, if we want to do paths, we got to plan for a path because we're talking 8 to 10 foot wide. We're not just talking sidewalks. So it's got to be in a certain area. And like we have to make sure we got the property. That was the big key to the whole thing, is getting the property either purchased or saying, okay, we'll sell it. That was the big thing on the next, where before we've never had to do that. And so, but I just wanted to remind you, we got projects going all over town. And we've completed projects without funding, but we also completed Lincoln Street, the south side of the square, with funds. So we have got some funds. Yeah, we didn't get the big one,
Sure.
but we're still working. So what we need to do is make sure we work together. And because your concerns is the path. Well,
I would say
what
that
else
would
could
be
be concerned?
Possibly maybe.
Just that, but.
Well,
Yeah,
but that's what we keep hearing about is,
Well,
that
that's
we
because
lost
that's
this.
what precipitated the
Right.
conversation.
Yeah.
And that
Well,
is
and we have
good because
multiple
you gotta have a plan.
Yeah.
Where's this path gonna go? I mean, county had talked about going out the old reservoir and having a path around that, the old reservoir.
I think that when we get down to it, you know, we can reach out, like to the Stellar Group,
Right.
see what they've already done, you know, we don't want to duplicate work.
Right. Well,
Right.
but we're here to also to help you with the parks and, you know, because of the commitment that you had towards the green space, park and the sidewalks around there.
And I suspect that not everything that's on the Stellar list is on our list either, so there's going to be
Right.
things you have that.
Right, but I just wanted to make sure that there is plans out there, not saying there isn't.
Well, I think for us, we don't have a plan. That's what we're focused on,
Right.
not Stellar. I know you guys
Right.
have a heck of a plan in Stellar, and you guys are executing quite a bit, and a lot's happening,
Right.
I think. And we're not trying to get a
Right.
plan for Stellar.
Well, and I was thinking about this thing, and Gene brought it up to me, you know, maybe could we do a walkover on State Road 3? You know, where we hook into Burger King and Lincoln Street.
We have that.
You have a walkover?
It's not a walkover, we have a
walkover?
path.
We're
It's
talking about a
crosswalk.
walkover.
It was looked at, the number of federal,
Right.
or state was
Yeah.
astronomical for ADA compliance. We'd have to start out, it was a long ways away, we'd have to take quite a bit of property.
Right, and I
in order to
understand
get to
that.
that height, so.
I understand that.
It's definitely something
Right.
to look at.
Yeah.
But again, that's another piece that we could, you know, maybe, you know, ask this group, well, what about that? Or something, you know. But I think that you guys, you know, we're gonna have a great path from out there at the steakhouse all the way down to Main Street.
Absolutely.
And with your help, we did that path. And in Lincoln Street, it's awesome. Guys, I think it's, you know, helped us when it rains, most to get the water off the field. So I just kind of remind you.
And our main focus, I think, is to be the best stewards possible of the money that we're getting in from the city. So if we can get money from everyone else for it, then let's do it, because then we can help
Right.
with more things.
Right. Well, and I like the
Yeah.
Michigan,
Yeah.
you know, that's another gateway. And down the road, that may be something we could do and plan for.
And I like the idea of local funding. I think the word local funding scares me a little bit because I know that Brian Robbins has has done amazing in local funding with the start of paths and putting
Right.
paths through.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to go take away from another group in this town.
Right.
And I know local funding is how he gets a lot done
Right,
with
right.
the original paths and what they did in that whole group. And
Right.
even Stellar, I mean, you guys asked for local funding and that was part of your guys' presentation. So I guess the word local funding scares me a little bit. We would also dig into that, so.
So like the crowdfunding thing that she's talking about though, anybody can do it, it wouldn't take money from one or the other. And city money, cause I was a part of that as well, so the city money that was contributed towards that was put in as matching. So basically all we would have to say is we're gonna get 50,000, we're gonna get 50,000. It's completely already matched, so it's a 50/50 match, so.
And they're all out there, and you just have to pick and choose, go from there. Okay?
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item on the agenda, Greensburg Schools request. I spoke with Mr. Hunter the other day, and he gave us a folder a couple months ago about when we updated our project list 3 years ago. We contributed $150,000 a year for 2017, 2018, 2019. The schools would like us to continue that. I talked with our council, and Chris said we may be able to do that without amending our project list, if that's something we wanted to do. Without maybe even amending or an addendum to it, so. That's something for our consideration, if we want to.
How much, so we get about, like, $1.5 million a year, about
1 million.
About 1.1.
And then how much did we commit to over the next 3 years to the bond? The bond thing was just passed through, right? Did we commit anything extra to that? I don't recall.
Not for the waterworks.
The waterworks was money coming from the county's redevelopment commission on the TIF. That money was coming to you, and you promised it to the water.
I thought. I had
And then
in
after
mind that
3
we were
years-
also-
That starts after 3 years, actually.
Yeah, it
Ah.
doesn't start.
Doesn't, it's 3 years from now that starts.
With our bond for Veterans Way, our payments are $550,000 total for the year. We pay that in the January,
We had about 500,000 each year.
roughly.
We don't right now. We don't even have 150 kids right now.
Is there any opportunity that we could partner with the Honda Tech?
There will be a tax settlement in December where you'll pick up $550,000. There will be a payment due in January on the draw bond where you will lay out 250-some thousand. Mark is in the process right now of applying for reimbursement from some of the expenditures you made for Veterans Way. Some of that will get paid back on the bond. And Mark, do you recall
They all have a spreadsheet in front of them.
how much of,
The only thing that came out of the bond was the very first claim, number 1, on this new one. So that $158,000 will go back to
the bank?
the bank, because that is a reimbursement from money you got against the bond. The remaining 65,000 or so will be your funds. If you look on the bottom under the net amount, I think it's 226,000.
What, Mark, 8 to 10 weeks?
God only knows this time of year with all the construction projects winding down, it's really slow getting reimbursed.
Maybe by the end of the year, that money could come back from the state, maybe.
But that would be used to pay the bonds.
The 158 on the first one under the net amount column, David,
Okay.
that was for the purchase of real estate that you used bond money.
That will go back to the bank.
So that will go back to the
That
bank.
amount, okay.
Everything
You
else will be
subtract that
cashed
from the
into-
225,000 in the pink box, and that is funding that you will get to keep, which is about 67,000.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you're gonna pay the 100 and whatever it was, I didn't retain the number. You're gonna pay that on your bond amount, forgetting about what you're gonna need to draw next year to pay for the project, in like 4 years' time, you might have that note paid off. Because the bond was set up for $9.5 million, if I remember right, but you're only less than $2 million right now.
Right. You know, as far as this Greensburg schools request, they would like it, but we did that for this calendar year, so at some point in 2020, I know the school would like us to, local schools would like us to do that. I think we're bound by the statute, we can't give more than 15% of our funding for a year.
We're $150,000 max per year, and you can only get 3 years at a time.
So that's just something for us to consider. That's the main reason that's on the agenda, just if we can work that out next year, if that's the desire of the TIF board, of the redevelopment commission. So that's really all we needed to.
We don't need a decision today.
Correct. Yes.
Are we just keeping this in mind for future reference?
Next item, Indiana Department of Transportation.
Can I say something again? I'm sorry.
Yes, you may.
I'm sorry. The Honda TIF,
Which is kind of talked about. Within 3 years, which is probably down to 2 years, it'll be 1.5 million. We've guaranteed 500,000 for the life of the bond for the water plant. We'll be receiving $1 million for the, hopefully for the life or more of that Honda TIF. Now, with that said, you guys need to start thinking about a project list for Honda. What kind of projects are you gonna do in that area? Because it's a separate TIF from Walmart. So Michigan may be one that can go on there
Right.
because of the fact of the hooks into the main highway to Honda. So, but you guys need to start thinking about you know, you talked about project list, adding this and that. But now we also need to start thinking about that project list for Honda TIF. Because it'd be a separate deal. Okay?
Indiana Department of Transportation notice.
Funding availability. Within the last couple of weeks, NDOT has announced what is commonly called a call for projects. This would be federal highway funds, typically 80% federal funding, 20% local funding. The application period opens November the 4th and runs through December the 13th. I bring this to your attention this evening to gauge what interest you may have. I do not think you need to make a decision if you want to fund such an application for a project. I think if we knew at your November meeting, we would still have time to get a meaningful application together depending upon what you might want to look at. Looking at the project list, you have the railroad grade separation that could be either Ireland Street or could be Lincoln Street. And because of the work that was done a year ago, there is some good information there. Those numbers could be freshened up a little bit to account for some inflation, construction inflation. So there's a couple places you could look at. The other one I noticed is what the mayor said, and that is North Michigan Avenue. You could consider seeking funding or working on that. I'm a little unclear. I don't know if Chris has a better idea about this different money, if it needs a separate project list. But you can still start the project. It's on your current list, so you could start it and probably transition it over with a second project list if that's what's appropriate. So there's something that could be considered there. There is a potential technical issue with railroad grade separation structures because they're not existing streets, but I'm prepared to try and convince NDOT, there's a criteria that that money be spent on system. On system has a specific definition. Sometimes it's conceptual. And if we can convince NDOT that these routes are conceptually what our system is, maybe they can still be funded. It's worth asking the question. Do I know that we have a high probability of success? No, I don't. But if you don't ask the question, you know the answer. The answer is no. And then the North Michigan Avenue thought is we've done a little less preparatory work there. But I think we can still put a meaningful application together. It won't be maybe as elaborate as some, but on the other hand, we'll do it with our own resources. And if we don't succeed, we're out the effort, not actual money. I don't think it should. It's an opportunity that's here right now, and that's the reason I bring it before you. And if we're not successful, we're no worse off than not doing it. And if we are successful, it could be wonderful.
Which one's cheaper?
I don't have the list. If I have the list with the railroad,
I'm gonna guess.
The railroad's about.
railroads are 11 million.
Yeah, North Michigan, I think we looked at 5 or 6 million.
Yeah.
What about Moscow?
Do you remember the functional classification of
Moscow.
Moscow?
Moscow Road?
Yeah. These
Or North Broad?
major collectors and arterials are eligible.
Yeah, Moscow.
I can tell you in a minute, I don't know if it's a major collector or a minor collector. I know it's not
I'm not,
material.
not immediately cognizant if it's eligible or not. Lincoln Street is eligible, Michigan is eligible, Ireland north of Main Street is eligible, Ireland south might not be.
Broadway? Put that on our list too.
It's on our list, 7 for 7, I believe.
If Ireland would count, I think North Broadway would count.
Ireland's a state highway, that makes it different.
State
429.
highway, state
Well, we know for sure that North Michigan counts, right?
highway.
Yeah, it's a major arterial, principal arterial. Now, it's also an NDOT route, and there's those complications, but you ask, and what are they gonna do, tell you no?
Which of the projects on the project list do you think would have the most success of fitting what they want?
Flip the coin.
One of the problems with North Michigan, I would love to say, hey, the city's really, really interested, but NDOT, it's your route, why don't you get on board with us, we do it together, but they spent a few $1 million on it 2 years ago, and that's probably gonna make it harder for them to wanna go back and spend money on it.
And we're not thinking about working on the part where they're milled and grade this weekend, right?
I am thinking about from Ireland to State Road 3.
That's mainly sidewalk, right?
Curb and gutter sidewalks, I hate to say it, but drainage, it really needs to have drainage addressed.
First Street.
Think about North Lincoln Street 15 years ago and what it is today. That's my vision.
Yeah.
That kind of an improvement from, and at the same time, I think about the synergistic effect that occurred on North Lincoln, where some of the adjoining properties weren't as well kept as they are now. And when the city improved the street, the adjoining property owners got on board, and we don't have any real eyesores up through.
Can we approach it in a manner that you can find federal funding for it too, since it is a US highway?
This would be an application for federal highway funds.
Okay, I thought you were just saying it not funds.
Well, NDOT doesn't give, well, CCMG is state money, but
Yeah, yeah.
NDOT passes along federal money, it just flows through them.
All right.
Since we know it's squarely in what they want, or squarely in the criteria.
If nothing else, it's a way to open a discussion with NDOT.
I mean, you have that, and we have the feasibility study we spent on the bridge, the connection there. I mean, I agree, I think Michigan's a lot better chance, but you didn't spend that feasibility money.
He's talking about conceptual ideas about whether it even apply.
I know.
Is there a deadline of how fast it would have to be spent?
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you.
It will take realistically 4 years. This is FY 25 money. So it's really 5 years out from right now.
Because ideally, with what we just did with all the projects, we have to make sure we have the money to have the 20. Do we have to wait to do everything for the next 4 years? We need to know this in the next month.
Nothing's getting built that quick.
No, but if we're gonna, if
Well,
we do
as
it
the
committed,
mayor
get money.
correctly points out, in 4 years, you may have an extra million a year.
Till 2033.
And I'm thinking this is the mayor's vision also of where
Do we
that
still
money
have to, like,
can
wait
be
and bank?
effectively used.
Do we have to like wait and bank it all up to do that?
You're gonna have,
You only run into trouble when you sign your name on a contract.
you're gonna have costs starting to be accrued within a year. You're gonna have your design costs, you're gonna have your environmental documentation costs, you're gonna have any right-of-way acquisition cost. The big piece will come in FY 25.
Well, Ron, remind them about Central Street.
Sorry.
When Central Street.
Central
was
Street,
made-
we
that
have a
was one of the
sidewalk
federal
project right after you came in, wasn't it?
Yep.
First year Dan was in office. That's scheduled to be constructed, what did we decide, spring of 21?
Yep. So-
That's how long federal
Right.
funded projects take to get through the process.
So I've been waiting for the Central Bridge since 2015, so.
Yeah, it's in the same project now. Our sidewalk and the Central Street Bridge is all one big project. It's joint city county now. So it just takes a while.
We're at a halt right now. I mean, I feel like with our project list, we're getting already started on something 6 months ago, a year ago. We have Veterans Way Phase 2 talked
There are
about.
some things,
We're just paying bills at this point.
there's money you had programmed or considered for Rebecca Park. That's something that could move along quicker. I don't remember how much money was even in that one, but there's something there. But no, if you want to leverage federal money, you've got to be looking out 5 years.
Yeah.
That's the cycle. So,
We can do that.
so
Yes.
saying no, because it takes too long to start, means you never start.
We've got to try, we have to try.
Yes.
I think North Michigan's the one that makes sense on our current project list.
5 years from now, is rail traffic gonna be more increased? We're gonna need that bridge more than they're gonna need North Michigan looking next.
Who knows, money might open up beforehand. They'd like to back it out, wait a year, so.
I think that the local tracks project was super well received. They had way more application than they had funds. Would the legislature find some money again? Who knows?
But it makes sense to apply for it, that stands the best chance of succeeding.
I don't know the answer. I agree with your
Yeah,
point, but I don't
think
know the
that
answer.
we
I
need to do
agree
one
with the
that's
question.
each of us.
Yeah.
Not what we're gonna win, so don't go with the easy route, you can go with what is most important to our city's needs.
And we don't entirely have to make a decision tonight, but I would like to start doing some groundwork so that when you make that decision,
Surprised you
Yeah,
haven't
we'll table that for the next, maybe come up with what we want to do next time.
It sounds like it's gonna be either railroad or North Michigan.
I hadn't thought about Moscow. I have to look into that a little more. That is a possibility. I hadn't thought about Broadway. If I were king, as the adage goes, and we were to work on Broadway, my preference would be to start at Veterans Way and come south, because we've
Yeah.
got a big block of private street in there that could become a public street. Broadway, to me, would be multiple phases. Phase 1 might be Veterans Way to State Road 3.
which in itself a larger chunk.
It's a lot of fun.
There's the right of way to be acquired, sure. I'd like to think that all of the adjoining property owners would really value having a high-quality public street up their property, but it doesn't always work that way.
I see Moscow as something essential as stuff gets built on Veterans Way. I mean, people are gonna.
It's a direct service to that.
Absolutely. And it's in our TIF district, we can't forget where our boundaries are. And I think we talk a lot about stuff that, plays off of our TIF district.
guess the compelling thing to me about both Moscow and Broadway is they would directly connect to Veterans Way.
So maybe you can find out if Moscow or Broadway.
I feel like there's partnership availability with other
Qualify.
organizations in the community with Broadway,
One of the other
getting it
possibilities,
the other direction.
one of the other possibilities, and this goes to the planning concept that we started the evening with, you can place routes that are not streets but routes with functional classification in our city transportation plan, our official federal government transportation plan. And when they're in that plan, then they're eligible for these funds, even though they haven't yet been built. So even if it wouldn't be eligible right now, maybe they could become eligible in the future, but it takes some time to amend your
Since
system.
we couldn't apply for it, but we could apply right now. So, like what you're saying, would it be okay to do that?
I don't know, what are they gonna do, tell us no?
Well, then, Moscow, Broadway, or Michigan.
Oh, I could feel better about extending, say, Ireland or Lincoln, but to take a whole stretch of street, I don't know. If that, I'd like to look and see what the functional classification is to see if they actually might be eligible right now.
Which one you wanna know?
Moscow.
Moscow.
Major
Broadway.
collector.
I don't remember though, what is the system? Is it collectors in urban areas on the system, I think?
That I don't remember, I don't have that, I've got the functional classification map pulled up in front
We
of
need
me.
to do some research, guys.
Yeah.
Of course, North
I'm
Michigan
just-
Avenue
I'm
is the principal,
speculating way too far out there now.
Come on,
Michigan
why are you
Avenue is the
hard
principal
tonight?
arterial.
Why'd you have to make everything so hard tonight? Maybe you're too long.
I'll get you the signs and stuff.
You talk too much.
I'll shut up.
So,
Broadway's a minor arterial.
Broadway's minor, Moscow.
Yeah.
but it ends at Smith Road. Does it go north of 3?
No.
So 3 to Smith Road will be a local street. In itself, it probably
Right.
wouldn't be eligible. So part of the services that we may want from somebody like Structurepoint or DLC or FPBH is to help update our functional classification. And maybe a service that would benefit us. There's rules about that. You gotta have a certain percentage range of arterials and collectors and locals. So you may have to give up one thing to get something else. But it's been done before. I've done it before. Priorities. Can you give me what's your first priority? Let's not worry about eligibility, just your first priority.
Seemed like the consensus was North Michigan maybe? I'd like the Rails project, but
Yeah, a lot of these got like Rockwood.
Yeah.
what did you feel? Did you feel North Michigan, since they put money into it 2 years ago, might not be too
The
likely?
sidewalks and curbs and street lighting and that kind of stuff could be done. We'd probably end up paying all of it minus the federal contribution. But I think it probably needs it really needs storm drains. And before you put in new curbs would be the time to put in a storm drainage system, and that's gonna involve digging up a bunch of the street. We all saw what we did on Lincoln, and Lincoln was as conservative of a design in terms of disruption as I could come up with. I'd really like to see it done right and be done with.
I think you need to think about it, guys.
Yes.
Bring it in next month. Go for it.
I'd like
Put
to
the
be able
pressure on it.
I'd like to be able to start doing some of the legwork, even if I did things that we're not gonna apply for, if I just kinda.
Dan, we applied for Main Street, for sidewalks, curbs, a couple of years ago, for
We
a
did
call for
not.
projects. And NDOT just came back and said, we're not gonna fund you. It's our road, we might look at reconstruction in the future, and we're not gonna pour any money into it for,
And then they turned around within, what, 6 months?
then they turn around in 6 months and then started on the
Created
the
road
reconstruction
projects
plans.
That we're gonna rebuild Main Street, and we're gonna participate maybe with the sidewalks, the details of it, the script.
We never have got the details, but I think they're reluctant to fund things that are on their route.
So it sounds like.
Because they're wanting this money to go towards local
But they
projects.
do.
But they do,
They
yes.
have local communities make improvements on NDOT routes. So it can happen. Right?
So would they be more like, sound like they'd be more likely, if anything, to go with the railroad?
Seems to me like just throw a dart at the wall and.
See if anything will stick.
I think they're,
I mean, the railroad's a direct connection to Honda. It's their train that's causing the issues. Trains.
Well, at the moment, we're not spending Honda money. But in
Correct.
3 years,
But
we
in
might.
2025, we'll be
Yeah.
spending Honda money.
Yeah.
Well, let's decide on it.
Is it not fun, could they fund the storm drain? They probably do that.
And they don't do lights, right?
They don't do lights, they don't do plans.
They're not good neighbors about storm drainage. That's as kind as I know to say it.
We wanna do it right, so we wouldn't wanna spend a lot of money.
I
and then
think,
dump it up and-
I think they would fund. Mind you, it's not state money, it's federal money.
Right.
I think if they had the money, I think they would. I don't know that.
Mark, any experience here? I think they'd include storm drainage.
What, on a federal aid application?
Yeah.
Well, they are on Veterans Way Phase 2.
Yeah, good point. They paid for all that. They paid for the north end of Lincoln Street.
Yeah, we put it on north end of Lincoln Street, they paid all that. But it was also local streets versus being an NDOT route.
I'd entertain the motion, would we like to suggest North Michigan or the railroad extension for Richmond Railroad?
I make a motion that we extend this funding application towards the railroad project,
We have a motion, is there a second?
Oh, God, I'm sorry.
for the railroad project.
For the railroad. Is there a second? Sounds like motion dies for lack of second. Is there any other motion?
Move for North Michigan.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Motion made by Darren, seconded by Adam. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, we will go ahead and start pulling the pieces together. You all have a chance to further
Wait, 3 to
consider
1.
this in a month.
You said 3, so we're lost there. Yeah. Oopsie.
Next item, approval of claims, phase project claims.
You have in your pile of claims there, a very unusual one, I think. It is for Baker Tilly.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that at all, David? Has anyone mentioned that to you?
Isn't that what used to be Umball?
Yes, sir.
It's a claim for $9,790.
To the Decatur County Auditor's Office.
That makes no sense.
What that apparently is about, the auditor's office asks for assistance with some of the accounting work associated with our TIF funds. And they had to do some, I've never been involved in this, so I'm pretty fuzzy. It was suggested that we may have paid something in the past to Baker Tilly, formerly Umbaugh, for something like this, but this is of greater magnitude this year.
Wait, so the
county
county-
auditor has to bill us.
Apparently, they pay some of it and they want the city to pay some of it because it's the city's TIF area.
So they're the ones that contract with Baker Tilly to do the work, and they want us to.
It would seem like you worked that out ahead of time, doesn't it?
Wouldn't they
So
do that?
where's the report? What do we approve?
That's
We get back. We
pretty
just gotta
much what
bill
I
it.
know about it. If you all would want to,
We just got a bill.
Does does the bill have any descriptions or?
It's it. For, says for professional services provided relating to tax increment financing, which includes assisting with the annual DLGF reporting requirements, preparing annual TIF report, attending a redevelopment commission meeting, and providing assistance to the county auditor with the annual DLGF neutralization worksheet for taxes payable in 2020.
So that would be when they came to our meeting and gave us.
Someone
presentation?
came to your meeting a while back, and I don't
Yeah.
remember when a
Yeah,
while back
They
was.
gave us the presentation of our annual budget.
6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah, they did come talk about.
No, they just came recently, like May. Is that 6 months ago?
Yeah,
Five.
got it.
5 months.
5, okay, fair enough, yeah. Yeah.
If you're uncomfortable with it, I think they could probably
Not like-
wait.
Kind of out of left field,
Yes.
Yeah. We didn't contract with them, so I don't.
Yep. We can table that. That's the only claim that was for our consideration, so. Our next meeting date is November 21st, the Thursday before Thanksgiving. Any other questions from any of the members? If there are no other questions, we'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you all for attending.
Archie's never come.